Do 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 do. Hello, 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 and welcome to um, another dive into the weird and wonderful world that we live in. When you begin to study things, your brain starts to sort of fill up, and at some points in time, it just overflows, and you sort of reach max sort of max capacity. You sort of burn out. What the hell is that noise in the background? It sounds like somebody cleaning out a bear. It's bizarre. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I have a deal with the neighbors here that they only make noise when I record, and they seem to be um, very um, I don't know, what's the word, relevant? No, not relevant. Very what's the word when you like keep your promise to do something? Accurate? No, that's not the right word. Darn it. You ever it's funny. It's funny. It was perfectly quiet until I hit the record button, and then I hit the record button, and there's just noise. Maybe you won't be able to hear it. Maybe it won't come through on your end. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see how far it all goes. It's a cold but bright day in um, in the nether regions here. Thought I would share that with you. So yeah, information overload. Sometimes I feel like my mind will explode. Information overload. Who was that? Living Colour. Yeah, great rock band. Anyway, um, yeah, and that's part of the way the system is designed. It's designed to overload you so that you give in. Yeah, you just have to stop. You can't carry any more information. It's just too much. You end up going, okay, okay, like when kids keep at you, you end up going, okay, enough. I get it. I'll do it, whatever, right? And maybe we'll have time to get into that a little bit today. We'll see. But things are just way out of control right now. Way out of control. Um, we've got the coming vaccine agenda. We've got the British government preparing people for the second wave. We've got Scotland forcing masks in shops and fining people if they don't wear masks. And masks is the gradation of the infiltration into your personal space. And it ends with the vaccines. That's where they're going. They're going to start with a mask, and it's not going to end there. This is not the end point. This is the beginning, you understand. This is the beginning. We haven't seen anything yet. It's not my quote. It's not my opinion. You talk to Mr. Gates, right? We haven't seen anything yet. The people have to be taught a lesson. Scary man. Watch some videos of him speaking. He's just a scary man. And get into his background. Get into his background. I think James Corbett from the Corbett Report did a little documentary on the man and his history. A curious person. Definitely not the kind of person you want to be taking health advice from. That's for sure. Got his finger in way too many pies out there. Got his hand in way too many cookie jars, if you ask me. So so there we go. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope that you're having a good day, and I hope that this little bit of a presentation gives you something to think about beyond the average, beyond the normal. It's only with information, it's only with being informed that we can make the right decisions. My aim is to get you to think. My aim is to influence you to a point where you actually challenge your thought processes. My aim is not to tell you where to go or what to do. Rumbling sounds of earthquakes around here. My aim is not to to get you to any specific point in your own in your own thinking, in the way that I want you to think a certain way. I don't want you to think a certain way. I want you to have your experiences, but I want you to make the right decisions. Yeah, and I want you to have logic in place. I want you to remember that logic saves lives, right? And if we're illogical, if we're irrational, and as somebody asked me yesterday, like when you give a presentation, how do you know that 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 something is true? Well, you got to provide some kind of background. You got to provide some kind of logic. You've got to provide some kind of evidence um, of the truth of the matter, which naturally led us to the question of why would anybody misinform you? Why would anybody lie to anybody? Well, lies are part of the human state, part of the human mindset. Yeah, predominantly they come out of fear, but it's it's an issue since that human beings have had since the beginning of time. The quest for the truth, the inability to tell the truth, the fear to tell the truth, and that's where a lot of the media manipulation comes from. And it's not just relevant to media. And here's how I would explain it. Um, we've all told lies at one time or another. We've all had to come to terms with that. We've all had people around about us in our friendship circles that have been liberal with the truth, right? We've all had people in our families, if we're lucky enough to have big enough families where we're connected to people who have maybe misinformed us or been liberal with the truth. And so when we realize that lies exist close to home, um, and you know, even children tell lies. No, I didn't steal a sweetie from the sweetie jar, whatever, right? Um, so when we understand that lies are close to home, and these are people that we know, people that we know will lie to us. People that we work with will lie to us. People in business will lie to us at some point. Yeah. And these are people close to us. These are people who, in the long term, don't have a really great vested interest in the benefit of lies because they're not thinking about the long term, right? Um, when we understand that, when we understand people close to us will tell lies, then maybe we can comprehend that people we don't know might tell us lies, because it might be easier for them because we don't know who they are and we can't check them, right? Why do you believe the reporters? Why do you believe the newsreader when the newsreader is just reading a script? Or why do you believe the reporter in the newspaper when you don't know the reporter at all? Um, does the reporter see their job as to print the truth, or does the reporter see their job as to tell a story? Uh, is it a crime to tell a story? Is it a crime not to check? Is it a crime to have plausible deniability at some point and say, well, I didn't check because of whatever, and it's not my fault, and I just didn't know, right? Um, when we understand the complexity of the human system, of the human mindset, of the dark side, of the side that leads to socialism, fascism, communism, when we dive deeper down, we realize that an inability to understand that other people will lie to us comes from a fear of the responsibilities we have when we discover the truth. Ignorance is bliss, right? How did the Maoist revolution get so far? How did Bolshevism get so far? How did National Socialism get so far? How did it happen? I think it happened because people refused to analyze their own inabilities within themselves. And that's where we begin when we look at critical ideas, and we want to be critical, and we want to understand why there might just be agendas. Well, how do you know if something is, aren't you worried about putting out something that's not true? Well, when you understand that governments have departments that produce fake news. That's the job of the department. The job of the department is to get people to behave in a certain way, get the public to behave in a certain way, to respond in a certain way, and they can print whatever they want to print and publish whatever they want to publish in order to create whatever reaction they want to create. It doesn't matter to them whether it's true or not, because they have a plan, they have a big picture, they have an agenda, and it's about time that we all understood that agenda. And we've been sort of taught that we should quest for comfort, but comfort means making things easy, and easy means that you just take things for granted and you don't study what's going on, you don't go into the background of the information. When was the last time you fact-checked a newspaper report? When was the last time you fact-checked a documentary? When was the last time you fact-checked the headlines in the news on TV, right? All based on trust, all based on things that you can't really check. And we all know that just by cropping a picture in a certain way, you can influence people's opinions, right? That's just a picture. Think about what we can do with information, yeah? That informs us, that forms us, that shapes us, right? Think about how that works. Now, there's memes going around on the internet. Let's dive in. There's memes going around on the internet that the creator of the PCR test says that the tests don't actually detect viruses. Well, that appears to be incorrect. And so, yeah, we have to be careful with the memes. I also saw, I've seen several posts in the last 24 hours that I've tried to fact check myself and discovered that they're not exactly accurate. That's okay. That's okay. People think they're doing the right thing. They ought to check it before they post it. And if you're doing a lot of studying and you're checking a lot of information in your shorter time, you're going to make mistakes. That's okay. You should admit your mistake. I'm sorry, wasn't correct, and move on. Don't get hung up on making a mistake, right? Don't let the mistake stop you. Don't let the mistake hold you back. Only those who are doing things can make mistakes. Otherwise, you're just paralyzed into fear. Anyway, the truth of the story is that the criticism of the PCR tests that are used for detecting COVID are related to statements made by Dr. Lauriston. I'm only going to read the highlighted text here, that tests can only detect proteins that are believed in some cases wrongly to be unique. Right? So, there you go. Believed, it's not really scientific, they only detect proteins, and sometimes it's wrong. Boom, that's the test that they're using. Tests can detect genetic sequences of viruses, but not the viruses themselves. That's the PCR test. This information is taken from Reuters. You can double check it if you so wish. Also important to understand, it's important to note that detecting viral material by PCR does not indicate that the virus is fully intact and infectious, i.e. able to cause infection in other people. The isolation of the infectious virus from positive individuals requires virus culture methods. These methods can only be conducted in laboratories. There you go, with specialist containment facilities. Right. Has that cleared things up for you? Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, don't worry about that, because they're not finished with the testing, because they need to make sure that everybody tests positive with these false positive tests. Independent.co.uk reports the UK will need the largest flu immunisation in history this winter. NHS England boss warns. Now, these people are criminals. These people are criminals because the testing is fraudulent. The first tests were contaminated, and the tests are bringing back false positive results. No one quite knows why, but tests seem to be being manipulated. Large numbers of doctors and nurses have sent away tests that were clean, and they've come back as positives. There was the president of an African country who sent away tests for fruit, and the fruit came back as testing positive for COVID. So there you go. And then this is the basis. And they've also done that. They've done that bait and switch with death numbers are now positive case numbers. So it's all manipulation. It's all bait and switch. Anyway, they have an army of people. I mean, the whole propaganda was designed to get people comfortable with the fact that the NHS were gods, even though they were denying services to cancer patients, for example, which has caused, according to the Cancer Society of Great Britain, an extra 20,000 deaths. You can double check those figures. Anyway, they've got their army of doctors and nurses already. They've got their marketing. They're about to fire on all cylinders, and they're going to hit everybody hard in September. So get ready for that. The largest flu immunization program Britain has ever seen will be carried out this winter. The boss of NHS England has warned is interesting, as the health service prepares for a possible second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. The pandemic that wasn't a pandemic. Doctors leaders, who the hell is that, have warned the health service will struggle if high numbers of C19 cases coincide with a bad flu season. The perfect storm. Got it all planned out, haven't they? Got it all planned out with their vaccines. But I tell you what, here's a challenge for you. Why don't you go online, and why don't you listen to the testimony of Stanley Plotkin, MD, who has been recognized as the world's leading authority in vaccinology. Why don't you go and listen to his testimony about the ingredients of vaccines and what's in the actual vaccines? Why don't you go and listen to the testimony from January the 11th, 2018? Why don't you go and do that? Why don't you go and just listen to a section, because it's a 9-hour deposition under oath. Yeah. Why isn't this on TV? Why isn't this in the newspapers? Why isn't this on the main media channels? Why aren't the YouTube and social media celebrities talking about this? Because they're all scared. They're all frightened. They're worried they're going to lose everything. They're worried everything's going to be turned off, just as has been pointed out by Senator Scott Jensen, who has been censored across the internet for the facts that he has presented on viruses and the documented interviews that he's been given, because his agenda is different from the big agenda. His agenda is different from the main agenda, right? So he's under fire, and we're all going to be under fire soon. And why don't you listen to him talking about it? Just check out Senator Scott Jensen from Senate District 47 and his 13-minute warning. It's a 13-minute warning. Everybody is in the firing line. Everybody is in the crosshairs. Everybody is in the sights of this system, of this agenda. Everybody, especially the kids. If you're watching the video presentation, you can see a video of children in a school in Thailand, and they've all got their heads in boxes because the school is using old ballot boxes repurposed into partitions to help limit the spread of COVID-19, according to Reuters. This picture is, and you can go and double check it. Did you know that there are 69.4 million people in Thailand, and of that the coronavirus killed a total of 58 people? Suspected, of course, because it's very hard to tell. To put this in perspective, an estimated 22,941 Thai people die each year in traffic-related accidents. That's about 63 people a day. So more people die a day in traffic accidents than have died in total from coronavirus. Still, they locked down the country. Thai schools reopened on Wednesday for the first time since mid-March, with precautions in place to guard against the coronavirus, ranging from temperature checks to installing makeshift cubicles for social distancing in classrooms. Remember, it's not social distancing, it's social isolation. At Sam Kuk School, about 31 miles north of Bangkok, nearly 5,000 students were told to self-quarantine at home for 15 days prior to the restart. As an extra precaution, Principal Churchart Thiengtham said. Once students arrive at school, teachers hand face masks to them because it's mandatory to wear them, said Churchart, adding that face shields were also provided to pupils for additional safety. During some activities, face shields and face masks. Remember that 5 seconds after putting on a mask, your body's oxygen intake is depleted to dangerous levels. Students also get their temperatures checked, and their facial recognition scanner automatically sends a message to parents. Isn't that nice that they're taking care of the kids? In the classroom, the school has turned cardboard ballot boxes used in elections into partitions to ensure social distancing between desks, and they've probably cancelled all the elections as well because we don't need them anymore now that everybody's heads are inside boxes. Links to the articles provided. Ballot boxes used in classrooms, News 18, Thailand's roads the deadliest in the world, CNN, coronavirus deaths, Reuters. There we go. Boom. That's the madness. And they're going to normalize. They're going to normalize the insanity. Step by step by step. They're going to normalize all kinds of insanity. They've been doing it for ages, but they've been doing it under the radar. They get pretty young girls programmed to stand on stages, as reported by MetroWeekly.com. TEDx speaker urges, try that again. Try that again. TEDx speaker argues that pedophilia should be accepted as an unchangeable sexual orientation. Don't worry, perfectly okay. Oh, there's now apparently adverts promoting this on Facebook. Yeah. Interesting. Because they banned Graham Hancock and Brian Rowe's TED Talks from the internet. But they promote this one. While Hine clarified her comments by noting that abusing children is wrong without a doubt, she said that a paedophile who doesn't abuse children has done nothing wrong. What? I'm not sure that that's a logical statement. She also said that accepting paedophiles and encouraging them to not pursue their desires will help end their suffering. Well, if you're calling it normal, then you're not going to encourage them to not pursue it, are you? So there's another contradiction. We shouldn't increase the sufferings of paedophiles by excluding them, by blaming them, by mocking them. Well, we should if they commit criminal activities. She said, by doing that, we increase their isolation and we increase the chance of child sexual abuse. Oh, we don't want paedophiles to be isolated, but we want every person on the planet to be isolated and socially distanced. Right? One rule for us, for you another. Wear that mask. Stay healthy. Wear that mask. Even though that mask was probably made in some little Indian sweatshop in a rather grimy and dirty environment by underpaid employees who wrap and fold the masks up on the floor, as has been posted in a video by Jim Vine on the internet. Anyway, don't forget to wear your mask because it's really healthy, even though you don't know where it has come from, even though you don't know who's touched it before, right? Logic. Logic saves lives, ladies and gentlemen. It does. It does. Don't let it get to you. Don't let the propaganda get to you. Don't let the system have their way. Don't let the system get away. Know your enemy. Okay, those songs were preparation, right? Those Rage Against the Machine songs, they were preparation for the things that we're all going to have to face. Got to face up. Got to face the reality, because to be real is to be true, and the truth is the ultimate enlightenment. The truth matters. Your environment matters. Fake environments lead to bad behavior because you bury things away that you need to deal with. And we've got to get outside the box. We've got to get outside the system. We've got to get outside the social media madness that frames the mind, not allowing it to escape and discover new solutions. The social media very often just reflects our own opinions back to us. And what's that? That's just pure ego, when all you see and all you hear is you. Got to break away, got to break out, got to take a chance, risk something. Don't be adverse to risk. Adversity to risk is adversity to life. There will be risks that you have to take simply because you live, simply because nobody ever really talked about the thrill of playing life safe. And I was thinking about that as I watched the surfers catch the big waves last night. I was thinking about that, thinking about all of those things. You want something else to think about? You want to go down the rabbit hole further? You want to understand the level of control? Go and research anything made by Adam Curtis. Go and watch anything made by Adam Curtis, documentary filmmaker. Go and watch his, I think his last film was Hyper Normalization. Hyper Normalization. Where the insane is presented. It's not prevented at all, it's promoted, right? The insane is presented as the sane. They control the rhythm of your life, showing you things that you can never have, placing everything just out of reach, trapping you in a web that you cannot see beyond. Yet there is more out there for those who want to know. SAGE, Government Advisory Organization, maybe I'll get into more of their deep, dark secrets later. SAGE member now admits that wearing a mask does not protect you in any way. Basically not healthy. But that's not going to appear in the news. What's going to appear in the news is what you need to do, how you need to think, what you need to buy in order to signal your virtue. And buy it while you can, because they're killing shopping, right? What are you going to do when there's nothing left? What are you going to do when you own nothing, have no privacy, and believe that life has never been better? As you sit back, turn on the TV, and watch the propaganda with the flags in the background, you listen to the first ministers of the country reminding you how to save yourself by listening to them, reminding you how to stay safe. But the subtext is nothing is ever going to be normal again. They're cranking it up, they're speeding up the processes. Technology that it would have taken, say, 10 years to implement has been implemented in 6 months. Are you aware of the quickening? It's the quickening, right? It's the quickening. And when the First Minister of Scotland tells us you shouldn't go out at all if you're not able to comply, well, that's a challenge, isn't it? That's a threat. It's no different to what the Nazis did in Germany. You understand that? When they increased their power through a pandemic, when they used drugs to infiltrate the social systems of control, when they gave the tests to the doctors and nurses to find out who would comply, and they promoted those who would comply, right? And now the big drug companies, the people like AstraZeneca, right? People like AstraZeneca, people like Johnson & Johnson, who put asbestos in baby powder for years and years and years, knowingly doing it. Knowingly, scientists knowingly put asbestos in baby powder. And these are the same people you trust to make the vaccinations, right? Knowing that these big vaccine companies have bypassed their trials on animals. That was the protection. You understand? That was the zone of protection. They're now testing these chemicals directly on people. They're now running trials directly on people, old people, young people, homeless people, whatever. They're running their trials directly on people. Do you know that in the Nuremberg trials, those were the trials following World War II, that it came out that's what the German doctors were doing in the prisoner of war camps, right? Their crime was testing out these unknown, untested drugs on the people. So these companies, these big pharmaceutical companies, are guilty of war crimes. Now, question is, can you do something about it? Are you prepared to stand up? Are you prepared to challenge the world? Are you prepared? Are you ready? Time is now. Time is now. Who is going to charge these criminals for their fake tests, for the deaths in care homes, for the lack of medical care, for the suppression of natural medicines, for the suppression of the information, for the crimes a la carte that they have committed, right? For the crimes. Meanwhile, in the background, stars, glimmering lights, pinholes in the night sky. Ghislaine Maxwell gets arrested. I wonder why. I wonder what her connection is to Kevin Spacey. Look at these stories about Kevin Spacey. Very interesting stories about Mr. Spacey, the actor. Accuser found dead after being struck by a vehicle. Huh? Drive-by. Accuser mysteriously drops lawsuit against actor. Kevin Spacey accuser dies amidst assault charges. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Princess's ex, who took his own life, had accused Kevin Spacey of misconduct. Interesting dealings in the underworld, my friends. Interesting dealings in the underworld. But remember, logic saves lives. If you think beaches are spreading viruses but packed protests aren't, then you should probably stop advertising your own idiocy. Thank you to Mr. Dan Bongino. There's a man with more balls than your local cricket club. Anyway, there are key tools to understanding everything. Trouble is it takes time. Trouble is it takes time. Let me give you some pointers. Wasn't that the last presentation? I guess it's every presentation, right? Improving people's health. Documents you need to read. Okay, documents you need to read. Google them. Improving people's health, applying behavioral and social sciences to improve population health and well-being in England. Right? Improve population health. It's not the health of people. It's population health. You got it's a language game, isn't it? It's just another language game. Population health. Look at the symbols. Yeah, snakes, crowns. Oh yeah. Yeah. We got the fasci. We got the scales of justice. We got the checkerboard. Oh yeah. Isms. Symbol isms. Please read, please read. Please go to instituteforgovernment.org.uk, search for Mindspace PDF, Mindspace PDF. Read it. Read it. Because it's a manual. It's a government-produced manual for how to alter your behavior. It's Machiavellianism. It's deciding how you want other people to behave. Of course, you'll justify it. You'll justify it by saying, well, it's not always a bad thing, right? Well, apply that to guns, would you? Apply that to guns and finally allow everybody to have the ability to defend their own property, especially the frail, the weak, the young, the old, the disabled, especially those needy groups. Yeah, the ones that are the targets of the criminals. But then the real crime is always elsewhere, isn't it? They've always got you looking in the wrong places. Mind space. It's called mind space. As if they want you to drift uncontrollably, except for when they tell you to do something. Mind space. It's all about the messenger providing the message. It's all about the incentives that they lay out before you. It's all about the norms and what's normal. You know, it's all about replacing morality with ethics. It's all about the defaults, right, of the system. It's all about the salience, the relevance, making it seem like it's just for you. It's all about the priming, the effect, the commitments. And finally, it's the ego. It's the ego that you haven't yet dealt with. It's the psyop. It's the marketing program. It's not about controlling your health. It's about controlling your behavior. It's all there. It's all there. You just have to take the time out to read through it. It takes time. You know, these documents are not created by chance. They're not created by accident. There's long-term planning involved. Serious long-term planning involved in preparing it all, in getting you ready for what is to come. And every now and then a voice speaks out against it. And the videos are posted, and they disappear, and they're reposted, and they disappear. And it's a constant struggle. Check out the interview with New York City nurse Erin Marie Olszewski, I can't pronounce that, Olszewski, Olszewski. She worked in Elmhurst Hospital and has a very interesting tale to tell about the methods being used there. And what's crazy is that even when you research the good stuff, right, even then, even when you research the good stuff, it's hard. It's hard to distance yourself from the negativity. It's hard to distance yourself from the cult-like antics of these organizations. Every now and then somebody wakes up, something happens, click, the light comes on, and somebody realizes, my God, is this where this is going? It does happen. Like on the road to Damascus. Yeah. Schellenberger finally came to a breaking point when the climate scare was used to frighten children, scaring them to believe that the end of the world was near. Over the past few years, the world's most influential green journalist, Bill McKibben, called climate change the greatest challenge humans have ever faced and said it would wipe out civilizations. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said the world is... Oh, she's an actress, by the way. She's an actress employed to present certain opinions of certain people. They don't believe me? Go and check out her history. Go and check out her background. She passed an acting interview because she ticked all the boxes, right? The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Britain's most high-profile environmental group claimed climate change kills children. That should be a medal song. The incessant scare campaign resulted in mass manipulation, with half of surveyed people around the world believing that climate change will make humanity go extinct. Hurrah! Well done, everybody. Yeah, and this was going on in schools, just scaring the shit out of the kids in school. Well done, everybody. Well done, teachers. Right. Worse, and it didn't work eventually because they pushed too hard for a while. And then the hide the decline scandal came out, where they were falsifying the data, and the emails came out from the universities. So there, you lose. Worse yet, 1 out of 5 British children surveyed now has nightmares about climate change at the end of the world. Yeah, well done, scaring the children. Good job, adults. Good job, adults. In the name of power and greed. Oh yeah. Survivalblog.science.blog. World Health Organization is a criminal medical organization for creating worldwide fear and chaos. Not surprising, is it? A high-profile European pathologist is reporting that he and his colleagues across Europe have not found any evidence of any deaths from the novel coronavirus on that continent. Dr. Stoyan Alexov called the World Health Organization a criminal medical organization for creating worldwide fear and chaos without providing objectively verifiable proof of a pandemic. And he is the head of the Bulgarian Pathology Association. So he ought to know. And I think it's probably worth getting the opinions of pathologists as much as any other kind of doctor in this problem, because they're the people picking up the pieces at the end of the day. Meanwhile, as if that's not enough, the WashingtonStandard.com has an article from Robert Kennedy Jr., pharmaceutical drugs are now the third leading cause of death in the United States. In an interview with Leo Gantz of the Wealth Research Group, Robert F. Kennedy discussed the major problems facing the United States today when it comes to health. This is a must-watch. Dun, dun, dun. Kennedy talks about vaccine safety and efficacy, as well as how pharma has taken over governments. Now that Big Pharma is in control, pharmaceutical drugs are now the third leading cause of death in the United States after heart disease and cancer, says Kennedy. That's huge, but it's also by design. It's not about health, it's all about profits. He points out Anderson Cooper is sponsored by Pfizer. Merck sponsors Lester Holt. These are American presenters. Also lots of advertisements in newspapers and magazines. Some of the biggest propagandists have a vested interest in making sure the public gets vaccinated, whether it's safe and effective or not. Pharmaceutical drugs are now the third leading cause of death, and the numbers dwarf that of other viruses and diseases. Medical journals also have become big propaganda. Yeah, and find out what the former editors of The Lancet and the British Medical Journal say about the studies. Like they say that at least 50% of them are manipulated, right? But like here's the big story, right? And you should start with the big piece of information because people probably won't get to the end, right? They just won't, because that's life. But here's the big story that's sliding under the radar here. It's the armed militant group stories. Several of these have appeared recently, and this is the most relevant one, so I'm going to give this to you. This is from zerohedge.com. China caught smuggling 10,800 assault weapons parts into Louisville by US Customs. That's right, the Chinese government is shipping weapons into the United States. Why would they be doing that? Well, your guess is as good as mine, or maybe better. Is China funding a civil war? The CBP, Center for Excellence and Expertise Machinery team, estimate the domestic value of the shipment to be $129,600, which is not really a lot. Earlier in February, Indian intelligence caught China secretly shipping nuclear arms to Pakistan. Let me just read that again. Earlier in February, Indian intelligence caught China secretly shipping nuclear arms to Pakistan. The ship belonged to a Chinese shipping company, COSCO, blacklisted by America last year. Sources in coastal intelligence told Great Game India the intercept was based on a tip-off from the Americans, who were monitoring the entire fleet of the shipping line, believed to be a front for Chinese intelligence. Wow. The weapons shipment from Chinese smugglers has been caught in time, just in time when the United States is on the edge. It's caught in the grip of a civil war-like scenario. The issue is complicated by the fact that the group leading the civil unrest movement, Black Lives Matter, has direct ties to known terrorist groups such as Antifa, who are no more anti-fascist than Coca-Cola is a health drink. Numerous Black Lives Matter organizers have ties to extremist movements of the past, not to mention the control of the group leaders, their Marxist indoctrination training, their origins in Africa, and well, it goes into spiritualism, it goes into control, it goes into slavery, and now Black Lives Matter has declared war on police, saying they should be defunded, and has also released a document blueprint for Black Panther-style armed patrols, monitoring police officers. Difficult times ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps you should choose a side before it's too late. before everything gets closed down, before we run out of food, before there's a lot more in the West. Did you know that Canadian government is shutting down farms? It's forcing farms to shut down. Not to mention the fact that the virus is stopping food production companies from doing their work as well. Supply chain breakdown has already happened. Food shortages in certain areas are imminent. Don't say that you weren't warned. Look at the half-empty shelves. I mean, you look at the limitation on the number of customers entering shops, right? Think about what's behind it all. Think about what's in the background of it all. Not by chance. Not by chance. It's all by choice. It's all by choice. So wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I hope that I gave you something to think about. I hope that you will make a choice in your day. I hope that you will make a decision to do the right things. I hope that you will understand what is relevant, what is salient to you. I hope you will understand the domino effect, that you doing one good thing will influence other people to do good things. I hope that you will understand 6 degrees of separation. We're all closer than we think we are. We just have to live to our full potency, to our full potential. And in other news, I think I need to have a shave. The old beard is getting a bit long. I want to find the face under the mask. Maybe we'll see what happens. Wherever you are, I wish you a fantastic day. Remember that you can like, love, hate, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. Check out Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Send me articles, send me messages, tell me you disagree. We can chat. It's all good, right? As they say, it's all good. Take care of yourself, take care of the people around about you, and as always, remember to tell the ones you love that you love them. Time is short, life is precious, make it count. Speak to you soon.